In terms of the current squad, we've obviously just spoken about Zoran Mamić, who was until very recently the Dinamo Zagreb manager. The current squad, I mentioned Gvardiol, who has who has already agreed to join RB Leipzig and will do so. He's a left-footed. Well, he's actually not. He's listed as a centre back, but this season he's played as a left back. Which is quite interesting because he's not exactly he's not exactly a Borna Sosa type left back in terms of his body profile, but he's played there for the majority of this season. But he can also play as a left-footed centre back. But he's not the only one there. Of course, there's Luka Modrić, there's Lovro Majer, who's 23, so he's getting to the end of that scouted football age range. But unsurprisingly, based on that half an hour we've just discussed, it's unsurprising that Dinamo have some really, really high potential young players.
Absolutely. I mean, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, their academy still getting to the quarterfinals of the UEFA Youth League up until 2020, and obviously this year the UEFA Youth League didn't happen, so we'll never know where they would have finished this year. But consistently getting into the quarterfinals is really impressive. And Gvardiol, you mentioned he played in both of those campaigns as a centre back then, and he's a very talented player, and I think he made the perfect sort of move by going to Leipzig because he suits their style of play. He's a sort of very modern day centre back when he does play centre back because he's very technically gifted, and I'd imagine that a lot of that comes from going through that Dinamo Zagreb academy, where the emphasis a lot of the times is on developing the technique. On top of that, he's quite fast as well, and I think that's why he's probably been able to play as a fullback as well. And he'll have a very bright future. I think the only sort of area of his game that he might need to polish a little bit is his decision making. But that's sort of to be expected from a young defender as well. At the same time, normally as defenders grow, they grow mature, and that decision making improves. So I wouldn't, overly sort of focus on that.
Yeah, I mean, he's 19 years old and he hasn't really played. I mean, probably the highest level that he has played at against sort of other players his same age has been that UEFA Youth League, well, those UEFA Youth League campaigns. And obviously the Croatian First League is obviously a very good standard, but it's not quite the Bundesliga as you'll come to find. But, for 15 million euros, Leeds United were also very much interested in him because of his ball playing capabilities, because of his potential versatility and, having that forward thinking sort of head up style. He is clearly a highly sought after player, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Jesse Marsch can do with him next season when he takes over, because he's been so beneficial to so many young players at Red Bull Salzburg.